calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. She won't answer the door. She won't answer phone calls. She won't answer text messages.
What if I told you that a single security camera would unravel one of the most elaborate deception campaigns in criminal history? What if I told you that in just 48 hours, investigators would witness a masterclass in how lies collapse under the weight of evidence, and how technology became the silent witness that couldn't be manipulated or intimidated? The Chris Watts investigation isn't just about what happened on August 13th, 2018. It's a psychological study of deception, a lesson in modern investigative techniques, and a testament to how human behavior betrays even the most calculated performance. This case changed how we understand the intersection of technology, psychology, and criminal investigation. Before we dive into this complex investigation, if you're fascinated by criminal psychology and the science behind solving cases, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building something special here at Dark Trail Files, a community dedicated to understanding the investigative process and the psychology behind these cases. Your support helps us continue bringing you these detailed analyses of cases that revolutionized criminal investigation techniques. For those who've been following our investigation series, you've already seen our comprehensive analysis of the Chris Watts case and our detailed examination of the key figures involved. Those videos sparked incredible discussion in our community, and you can find the links in the description below. Today, we're approaching this case from a different angle, focusing on the investigative techniques, the technology that cracked the case, and the psychological elements that make this one of the most studied cases in modern criminal psychology. August 13th, 2018 started as a routine Monday in Frederick, Colorado. But by evening, it would become the beginning of one of the most intensively studied criminal investigations in recent memory. Shanann Watts had returned from a business trip to Arizona, carrying news that would change everything. She was expecting their third child, a boy they had chosen to name Nico. What makes this case particularly fascinating from an investigative standpoint isn't just what happened, but how quickly modern technology and investigative psychology work together to uncover the truth. Within 48 hours, what appeared to be a missing persons case would transform into a homicide investigation that will be studied in law enforcement academies for years to come. The case demonstrates how personal relationships can become complex webs of deception and how investigators use multiple techniques, from behavioral analysis to digital forensics, to piece together the truth when someone's entire life has been built on maintaining false appearances. By 10 a.m. on August 13th, something was clearly wrong. Shanann had missed a scheduled doctor's appointment, something completely out of character for someone who was organized, punctual, and excited about her pregnancy. When she failed to respond to messages or calls, her friend Nicole Atkinson recognized the signs that something wasn't right. Nicole's response demonstrates the importance of trusting instincts in crisis situations. As a close friend, she understood Shanann's patterns, her responsibilities, her dedication to her children, and her health. When she arrived at the Watts home and observed Chris's behavior, her concern escalated from worry to alarm. The 911 call you're about to hear would initiate an investigation that showcased modern police work at its finest.
Interrogation, this is Stacey.
Cece, my name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport, and she's having issues, and she's pregnant, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house, and her car's there, and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages. And I'm just really, really concerned. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it. And I don't know what to do. I've called him and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other two daughters. But, like, if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car? And then I said, like, Chris, can you just come home and check to make sure she's okay? Because the shoes she wears every single day are right inside her door. And he was like, yeah, I'll be there in 3 minutes. Well, that was 45 minutes ago. And I called him and asked him again, can you please come home? And he's like, I'm 45 minutes out. She wasn't feeling well over the weekend, and she was very, like, distraught and out of the sorts because her and her husband are having issues. So was concerned because she wasn't like eating or drinking and stuff like that. So then this morning I was like, let me know if you need me to take you to your doctor's appointment because you're not feeling well. And I have called and texted. I've come to her house. She's not answering the door. She's not responding to text messages, phone calls. I've had other friends reach out to her. None of us can get her to respond to us. Shanann Watts. It's SHANANN Watts, WATTS. I knew this pregnancy, like she was so excited and then got blindsided from her husband that he wanted to separate a week ago.
And her husband's name is Chris?
Yes, his name is Chris Watts.
This call represents a critical moment in the investigation timeline. Nicole's detailed observations and her persistence in reporting her concerns demonstrate how civilian involvement can be crucial in criminal investigations. Her ability to articulate specific behavioral inconsistencies gave responding officers valuable initial intelligence about what they might encounter. When law enforcement arrived at 2825 Saratoga Trail, they encountered what appeared to be a routine missing persons case. However, experienced officers are trained to observe not just what people say, but how they say it, their body language, and whether their emotional responses match the situation they're describing. One of the most significant breakthroughs in this investigation came from something Chris Watts never anticipated: a neighbor security system. The moment when investigators showed him this footage became a textbook example of how suspects react when confronted with evidence that contradicts their story. Watch as we witness a pivotal moment in police psychology.
And this is him at 517.
Usually park out there on the side. I just want to get everything back in. Be easier to lugging everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in. What else can I do with this?
My detective just showed up, so he'll probably want to talk to you. He'd probably, like I said, he might have you call at the bank and see if there's any kind of activity.
Because if there was any sort of action out there,
His camera's
I would have got it.
like
Right.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that, and I had parked my truck
I had
right
to
here.
park right here.
Yeah, so someone
See if
I could
anything
see where someone tried to jimmy with a flathead screwdriver over there, and it was just like.
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I would
Yeah,
have
if it would
got it.
have been like right in that area, it should have picked. I mean,
Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
you know where that tree there too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Watch, I'll show you. There's nothing on here. We've already watched that one. But like, you'll see this car.
What security system do you have?
That's right, this car. You can see this car starting to drive down the street.
He's next door.
Here we go.
I was talking about dispatcher. He'll be code 4.
But yeah, we can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making a turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the cars going to your turn. So, unless they pulled right here,
Yeah.
but I would have caught her walking out. Diesel.
You're good.
But yeah, I thought nothing.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
15 weeks. that's why her friend said it was low blood sugar.
And see, I've got her friend leaving out here at 2 in the morning, I think. My camera. Did you go check if anything was missing around your house?
There wasn't nothing, like, all the old blankies and the and then her lawyer was in my thing. Her phone was still there.
She dropped her off at 1 in the morning, right?
She's done my doorbell said 1:48 she came in.
Okay. It's not on this one, it'll be on this one. This is for February at 1:48.
That was the start of the video.
Yep.
About 1:48.
In the morning.
I didn't pick her up going into the house though.
It didn't. And I usually pick him up when he comes walking through here. I pick him up. So it doesn't show her walking into the house. Or she would have walked by, we just saw it. That's mine.
Okay.
The other dogs. They see all these people coming in, they're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Record for
30 seconds, I believe, at a time. But this is at 1:48, and then the next one I have is 1:05, whatever. So nothing, no cars came through, because I guarantee, with the headlights, it picked up the headlights automatically.
And my villain said that if I
This moment demonstrates several key principles of criminal investigation. First, the power of surveillance technology in providing objective evidence. Second, how trained investigators observe micro-expressions and behavioral changes. The footage from Nate trying to stick a security camera didn't just provide evidence. It provided a psychological pressure point that began to crack Chris's carefully maintained facade. What followed this discovery was a demonstration of advanced interrogation techniques developed over decades of criminal psychology research. Modern police interrogation isn't about aggression or intimidation. It's about creating an environment where truth becomes more psychologically comfortable than continued deception. The interrogation room is where investigative training meets real-world application. Detectives use a combination of evidence presentation, timeline verification, and behavioral analysis to evaluate the truthfulness of statements. What you're about to see showcases these techniques in action as investigators methodically work through inconsistencies in Chris's account.
Did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it would be really dumb. Like, you should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance. Okay?
I said, like,
You could cause someone's disappearance by murdering them. Would
Yes.
you agree with that?
Yes.
So what different physical ways could you cause someone's disappearance through murder? You could stab someone,
Stab
right?
someone, shoot someone, hit them with a blunt object.
You could kidnap them and take them and lock them up in a basement somewhere,
Yeah.
or, you know what I mean? They could still be alive, but you were...
You're like torturing. You can, I like to take them somewhere, torture them, and let them sit there without food or water.
About this is right now, there's only one person in this room that knows what the truth is, and in about 5 minutes, there's going to be 2 of us. So that's the coolest part, okay? And then I can go share that with them out there, okay?
Okay.
So do you don't have any other questions or anything?
No.
Perfect. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
So I brought Graham in here because we want to talk to you about the results, okay?
Okay.
Notice how investigators don't attack the story directly. Instead, they invite elaboration, ask for specific details, and allow inconsistencies to emerge naturally. This approach is based on research showing that deceptive individuals struggle with detailed, consistent narratives when asked to repeat or expand on their accounts multiple times. The psychological pressure evident in this footage demonstrates how training in behavioral analysis helps investigators identify stress responses that suggest deception, even when someone believes they're maintaining their performance successfully. While polygraph results aren't admissible in most courts, they serve important functions in criminal investigations. They create psychological pressure, provide investigators with additional behavioral data, and often serve as catalysts for confessions when suspects realize their deception might be detectable. When Chris Watts agreed to polygraph testing, he made a decision that would demonstrate the gap between his self-perception and reality. Modern polygraph techniques measure multiple physiological responses simultaneously, creating detailed profiles of stress and deception indicators. The results weren't just significant because they indicated deception. They were significant because of the...
So it was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know.
stop. It's time.
They were at the house when I left. They were there.
They weren't there. They didn't leave. They vanished. You know your truck has GPS,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You know that thing pings every 10 seconds?
Yep.
So we will know exactly.
I know.
Chris, you gotta tell us. There's something that happened to these baby girls. We have no doubt you love these girls with all of your heart. I have no doubt. But we make mistakes.
And it's okay.
It's what we do with those mistakes that make us who we are. We had a mom in Castle Rock that suffocated both her baby girls. Chris, you took them out of the house with their blankets and their animals. And that's because you cared.
Well, how about this?
Magnitude of the physiological responses. Polygraph examiners are trained to recognize patterns that suggest different types of stress, from minor deception to major psychological trauma. The readings in this case were consistent with someone carrying the psychological weight of extremely serious actions. One of the most psychologically complex aspects of this case emerged when Chris's father, Ronnie Watts, became involved in the investigation. Family involvement in criminal cases creates unique dynamics that investigators must navigate carefully, as family members can provide both valuable information and emotional complications. The interaction between Chris and his father during the investigation reveals important psychological elements about how people maintain deception even with those closest to them. Family loyalty, denial, and the difficulty of accepting terrible truths all come into play in these situations.
Polygraph failed it. When we had that conversation that morning, it was emotional. It was. What happened after that? I don't want to protect her. What? I don't want to protect her. You don't want to protect her? I don't know what else to say. What happened? Huh? She heard him? Yeah. And then
What's that?
hold it.
Is it okay? You sure?
On top of her. Freaked out.
This conversation represents a psychological turning point. The presence of family can either strengthen someone's resolve to maintain their story or create additional pressure to tell the truth. In this case, we see how the combination of overwhelming evidence and family confrontation created a psychological environment where continued deception became unsustainable. Contemporary criminal investigations rely heavily on digital evidence. Phone records, search histories, social media activity, and electronic communications. This case demonstrates how digital footprints can provide investigators with detailed timelines and psychological insights that traditional evidence might miss. The investigation revealed extensive digital evidence that helped establish not just what happened, but the psychological state and planning that preceded these events. Search histories, communication patterns, and social media activity all contributed to understanding the complete picture of the case. Phone location data, application usage, and even seemingly innocent internet searches became crucial pieces of the investigative puzzle. This case showcased how digital forensics has revolutionized criminal investigation, providing objective data about behavior, location, and psychological state. Nate Trinestick's security camera represents a perfect example of how civilian technology has transformed criminal investigation. Modern neighborhoods often have multiple surveillance systems that create comprehensive coverage of daily activities, providing investigators with objective records of events. When Nate offered to share his security footage, he was participating in a type of community policing that has become increasingly valuable in criminal investigations. His system had captured evidence that would prove crucial to establishing the timeline and contradicting false statements. The footage provided irrefutable evidence of activity that didn't match Chris's account of that morning. This kind of technological evidence is particularly valuable because it can't be manipulated through psychological pressure or interrogation techniques. It provides objective documentation of events. The eventual confession in this case wasn't the result of any single investigative technique, but rather the cumulative effect of multiple evidence sources creating psychological pressure that made continued deception impossible to maintain. Modern criminal psychology recognizes that confessions often occur when suspects realize that the evidence against them has reached a critical mass where denial is no longer psychologically sustainable. The combination of surveillance footage, digital evidence, forensic results, and behavioral analysis had created an investigative environment where truth became inevitable. Even within the confession, investigators had to carefully evaluate the information provided, as suspects often continue to minimize their actions or shift responsibility even when admitting guilt. The process of obtaining complete and accurate information continues even after initial admissions. From the initial missing persons report to the final confession, this case unfolded over just a few days, but it demonstrated months' worth of investigative techniques compressed into an intensive period. The speed of the resolution was due to several factors: advanced technology, experienced investigators, cooperative community members, and a suspect who had underestimated the sophistication of modern police work. The case timeline shows how contemporary investigations can move rapidly when multiple evidence streams converge. Digital forensics, surveillance technology, behavioral analysis, and traditional detective work all contributed to creating a comprehensive picture of events that left little room for continued deception. This rapid resolution also demonstrates the importance of immediate response in missing persons cases, especially when they involve families. The quick recognition that this was likely a criminal matter rather than a simple disappearance allowed investigators to preserve evidence and begin building their case while the trail was still fresh. From an investigative psychology perspective, this case provides numerous examples of how behavioral analysis contributes to criminal investigation. Investigators observed inconsistencies between claimed emotional states and actual behavior, noted unusual responses to evidence presentation, and recognized signs of deception in verbal and nonverbal communication. The case demonstrates that modern police training includes significant education in psychology, behavioral analysis, and communication techniques. Officers learn to recognize stress responses, evaluate the authenticity of emotional displays, and identify inconsistencies that suggest deception. These skills were crucial throughout the investigation, from the initial response through the final confession. The ability to read behavioral cues helped investigators focus their efforts effectively and recognize when their techniques were having the desired psychological impact. The Frederick, Colorado community's response to this case demonstrates how neighborhoods can contribute to public safety through awareness, technology, and cooperation with law enforcement. The case also highlighted the importance of recognizing warning signs in relationships and taking concerns seriously when something seems wrong. From a law enforcement perspective, the case has become a training example for how multiple investigative techniques can work together effectively. It's studied in police academies as an example of successful integration of technology, psychology, and traditional detective work. The conclusion of this investigation represents not just the resolution of a criminal case, but a comprehensive example of how modern police work has evolved to address complex crimes in contemporary society. The Chris Watts investigation stands as a demonstration of how law enforcement has adapted to utilize technology, psychology, and community resources to solve complex cases efficiently. The combination of digital forensics, behavioral analysis, surveillance technology, and traditional detective work created an investigative approach that left no room for deception to survive. This case study provides valuable insights into modern criminal investigation techniques and demonstrates how multiple evidence streams can work together to establish truth even when faced with elaborate attempts at deception. The investigation's success was built on the foundation of well-trained officers, cooperative community members, and the effective use of available technology. The resolution of this case brought justice for Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico, while also providing law enforcement professionals with valuable lessons about investigative techniques that will benefit future cases. The thorough documentation of the investigative process ensures that these lessons will continue to contribute to improved police work for years to come. This is Dark Trail Files, where we examine the investigative process and the psychology behind solving complex criminal cases. Until next time, we continue our mission to understand how justice is achieved through skilled investigation, community cooperation, and the relentless pursuit of truth.